It's human nature. We want to succeed. We want to do well. But it's hard to know if you're doing well unless you know what winning looks like, right? And I think often in the construction industry, so many people are coming with their experience. And unless you say to them, this is what winning is like here, they're never going to be successful because they won't ever know.
Hey guys, Todd here. Welcome to the podcast. We've got a great conversation for you today. This is an interview with Shawn Dominguez. He's the owner of Dominguez Design-Build, general contractor in Florida. He's a retired Navy pilot who started a construction company back in 2018. And here's what you'll hear about in this podcast. Some of the foundations that he's putting in place right now to grow his company from 20 million in revenue to 50 million in revenue. He talks about how simple tasks, menial tasks, very simple construction tasks can often get in the way of scaling your business. You'll hear about the connection between having standard processes and your cash flow. This one could be surprising to some people. He shares about one thing that his general superintendent said that he'd been waiting for Shawn to do, but had never actually asked Shawn about. You'll hear about the importance of defining what winning looks like for your team and Shawn's experience in our Systematize Your Construction Business program, also known as SYCB. So you're going to hear that interview in just a minute. If you'd like to hear from some of our other construction business owner clients who've gone through our program and the results they've experienced, you can head over to constructionleadingedge.com/results, or just go to constructionleadingedge.com and click on the results tab. If you would like to spend less time putting out fires, less time dealing with day-to-day issues, and put the right systems in place so you can work on your business. You put the foundations in place to scale your business. That's what we're here for. We can help. The first step is to schedule a call with our team, and you can do that over at constructionleadingedge.com/apply. That's constructionleadingedge.com/APPLY. Now, let's get to that conversation with Shawn Dominguez. Enjoy.
All right, Shawn. Hi. Thank you so much. Before we dive into a few of the questions specific about SYCB, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Yeah, so good afternoon. My name is Shawn Dominguez. I'm the owner of Dominguez Design-Build. We are a general contractor based out of Pensacola, Florida. And we do a kind of a mix. We do probably about a quarter federal and then, a mixture of a little bit of private, but more state and municipal. And so, we're a general contractor. We don't do a lot of the work itself. We do a little bit of self-performance, but mainly we do some subcontracting. We have an office in Pensacola. We have another office in near Birmingham, Alabama, and we're starting to see a lot of success there along the Gulf Coast. We also have some projects. I got a project in Key West and Virginia. So really it's along the Gulf Coast and then some splashes here and there depending upon the agency that needs help. But commercial construction services, that's basically what we're focused on.
All right. So you're in a few different areas. Tell us a little bit about the size of your business, if you would.
So right now we're at 28 people. That includes a couple interns that are part-time and for us. We've probably got about 13 or 14 projects going right now, which is probably one or two too many. So I retired from the Navy in 2018 and went full-time with my company. And, our revenue was nothing. And now, in 2022, we were the fastest growing company in Pensacola, the number 4 fastest growing construction company in Florida, and number 11 in the United States. So we've seen kind of exponential growth those last couple of years, and we're looking at probably 20 million in revenue this year. And so my goal is really with this program was to really focus on execution this year, to kind of stabilize, get more pieces in place, get the right pieces, the right people on the bus, and then try to make that jump, up to probably 50 million by I think 2027. That's kind of our long-term plan. Trying to stay, in the federal marketplace, small business is capped at 45 million. So I don't want to go above that small business set side standard just yet. I want to wait till we're completely ready to compete in, full and open competition. So.
Awesome. Wow. That's pretty impressive growth. And also thank you so much for your service.
Well, thank you. And, I got great people. It's all them, they're really motivated and they want to do good work. And that's been the thing for us. It's, when you hear a lot of bad, there's a lot of great general contractors out there, but when you say the word general contractor, it's usually not a positive connotation. And so that's something that when I started the business, that was kind of our why was, hey, let's improve people's lives. Let's improve our clients' lives by providing a good construction process. The folks in our team, our company, and then also the community. When we're successful, we give back to the community. We do a lot of volunteer work. We do a lot of projects for smaller charities locally here in Pensacola.
Fantastic. Great people are attracted to good leaders, though, Shawn. You're doing
Well,
something
yeah,
right.
yeah, but it's yeah, but it's all them.
Awesome. Very good. Well, thank you for that background. I
Sure.
want to take you back probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 weeks ago before you joined the SYCB program. What was life like for you back then? What were some of the challenges and the frustrations and problems that you were having that led you to seek this?
Well, I had listened to your podcast for about a year and a half. I really enjoyed it. And every time I listened to the podcast, everything you guys were talking about, particularly the scaling, I was like, that's our problem. We're having problems there. So for me, for us, it's not a problem getting the work. Our challenge is execution. And so that was the challenge I was having, 16 weeks ago, just trying to standardize processes. Everybody was doing something different when it came to pre-construction or daily reports or just little things like that in the field. And, when I talked to Todd about 16 weeks ago and he asked me some questions and I was like, yep. And so I think I really kind of knew that, and after listening to the podcast, obviously that this would be a good program for me, because for me, I need to work more on the business. We get so as owners, you're fighting fires every day, and as you're growing fast, you don't really carve out a lot of time to think strategically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I needed to not only get our processes in place and focus on execution, but also think strategically for 2, 3, 5 years down the road, where are we going to be? So that's what was great about this program, was just really forcing you to take time out of your schedule to make this commitment. And we got a lot of work to do still, we do, but at least I've got a pathway forward based on this, that here's what we're working on, here's my priorities, and we'll get there, eventually.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great benefits of this program is it helps. You had mentioned this earlier about having a plan and having a system in place, and starting with that CEO schedule, which is one of the very foundational pieces we share with you. Is you got to block out your time to work on your business as a business owner. And I think to your point, we get sucked into the business so much that we're working in our business too much. And how can we scale? So going back to when you were saying that was probably one of your biggest problems, was the scale. And how do you get from here to where you want to be with a lot of those goals that you were saying? But there was probably a lot of frustration in those moments, right? Where you were taking on more than you needed to as a leader. Your team, like you said, were doing things all kind of rogue, right? Just doing their own thing, doing their own process. Can you take me back to some of those moments and tell a little bit more about what that frustration and chaos was for you and your team?
I mean, it's happened a couple times, particularly last year when we're doing simple evolutions, like a concrete pour. We were doing a concrete pour, and I was actually meeting the gentleman we were doing the day of the concrete pour. I was actually having lunch with him up in Huntsville. He's a big developer, and it was his first project with us. And he's like, he actually mentioned something about the concrete. He's like, well, so how are you going to cure the concrete? I'm like, well, we're going to listen, do what the specifications tell us, Well, we did the concrete pour, and guess what? We didn't cure the concrete. And so it started cracking a week later. Now, it wasn't anything structural, but it looked like crack. And so I thought about this. I'm like, where is our checklist for? So I asked my guys, I'm like, do you break open a checklist before you do any type of major evolution like this? And they're like, no, we just kind of do it from experience. I'm like, yeah, look what happened to us.
Yeah.
We don't have to rip the concrete out, but we might have had to. So it was things like that I was just frustrated going, okay. And I was a pilot in the Navy. I mean, everything was a checklist. And I know that sounds nerdy, but you went through a checklist for everything. And so, and when you found something that probably needed to be added, you went to the Navy, said, this needs to be added in the checklist because we keep forgetting this. And so that's where that process kind of started. It was just frustration with everyday execution, small things that I'm like, we shouldn't be doing this anymore. And folks, if you want me to go from 6 million in revenue a year to 30 million in revenue a year, and we can't get these simple tasks done. So it just was frustrating for me. It would just seem like simple tasks, things that we do day to day. The day-to-day execution was falling through the cracks because we didn't have processes in place. And so, you've got to build that foundation before you scale further.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing now, is before we do any more growth, we have to have this in place.
Oh, I love that. It's almost like those day-to-day tasks were invisible because you didn't have any way to check it. You didn't have a process or
Right.
a system in place to know that it was done and done correctly.
Right.
Gosh, yeah, that's definitely something you need in place, especially as you're planning to scale. And did that create like personal challenges for you? As far as I know, a lot of our clients say, oh man, I was missing sleep and I was stressed all the time and all these taken me away from my family and things like that. Was that a result of some of this as well for
Oh,
you?
yeah, it always is. Absolutely. And especially as you get, back in December, we had some cash flow issues because we were starting a lot of our bigger projects. And we found out that if we had been a little bit more proactive, especially upon award, you get the award, you immediately bill. We have to do a lot of PMP bonds and certificates of insurance that we front load. And it's just a lot of money up front. And I'm like, if we have a standardized process for award, this is the first things we do. Instead of going, okay, we got the award, what do we do? Well, I think we do kind of this. No, you pull out the book, you pull out your checklist, and let's go through that. And so we're back much healthier now, but it's just it is a lot. You can ask my wife. I mean, there's times I woke up in the middle of the night just thinking about things, going, almost like little panic attacks. Going, oh gosh, we're gonna make payroll this week, or if we don't get that check in, this could be a problem. Or I haven't paid my sub, we haven't been paid, and he's a small business, he needs the money. So it's things like that, yeah, they kind of add up.
Yeah.
If you don't get this under control, especially as you scale, it just gets worse.
Yeah. Yeah. The wheels start falling off pretty quick.
Oh yeah, and then you can feel it. You feel like things are kind of getting sideways, and so.
Oh, goodness. Well, we and I had already talked about a few things, and I'm sure you're probably going to tell me about a couple of them, but take me to the moment in the program where you were like, yes, this is going to work. This is going to help me in my business.
Well, we talk a lot about the nail, the handoff. I think that was it because I literally, yeah, I've got some people in Birmingham, so they couldn't be there, but they dialed in. I brought in all my superintendents into the office and said, we're stopping work. You guys come in, and we went through the exercise, and we developed this, pre-construction checklist, and then we veered off to how do we do submittals, and how do we do what does a superintendent binder look like? And so now we've got all those in place now. And after the meetings, a lot of the feedback, particularly from my general and superintendent up in Birmingham, who's been with me from the beginning, he's like, I've been waiting a long time for us to start doing this. He's like, because they want to get organized too,
Yeah.
and they want you. I want my superintendents looking ahead, not just me, but them in the field looking ahead at the next evolution. And like Todd talks a lot about is the right to left thinking. Where do you want to be? Back that up. And so that's what we're doing now. It's where do we want to be? We want to mobilize. What do we need to get done before we mobilize? And then capturing all that. So I think nail the handoff. And then the other one that was great was the accountability chart, and really building specifications for each job title. Because, when you go to your superintendent and you're talking about performance, it's like what does winning look like? Unless you tell him what exactly you want him to focus on, he just goes about managing the project, and as he's always done in his previous job or however he's been trained, and so for us we started with the superintendent. I'm working on my estimating team now, or proposal team, and then our PMs. What does winning look like to you? If you could do nothing else this month, here's the 5 things I need you absolutely to do. And so now that they kind of have that scorecard, we can go back to that, and they know what's expected, and and really kind of building those smart goals to capture exactly what winning looks like for them.
Yes, I love that. It's human nature. We want to succeed. We want to do well, but it's hard to know if you're doing well unless you know what winning looks like, right? And I think often in the construction industry, so many people are coming with their experience, and unless you say to them, this is what winning is like here, they're never going to be successful because they won't ever know, right? They're just coming with the experience that they have. So that's such a powerful part of this program, as well as helping you and your team to know exactly how to be successful and to stay in your lane right here. Just do this and you'll be successful.
Well, right. And I had a new superintendent that talked about that very thing as we were building our weekly production meetings. And I sent him out what I felt like he should know, the MTIs or MITs, and then the task and all that, and doing a 2-week look ahead. He sent me a long email going, at my previous company, we kind of did it this way, and I just really I need more guidance. And he was looking for that because all he has to go by is what the previous large company he was assigned to went. And that's different. We're different than a large company.
Yeah.
We're a small business. It's more intimate. Yeah, we don't have all the Gucci things or the highest pay, but what we do have is allowing you to be part of something that we're building and getting buy-in. And so it's, for us, it's telling, we started with the superintendent that talked about that very thing as we were building our weekly production meetings. And I sent him out what I felt like he should know, the MTIs or MITs, and then the task and all that, and doing a 2-week look ahead. He sent me a long email going, my previous company, we kind of did it this way, and I just really I need more guidance. And he was looking for that because all he has to go by is what the previous large company he was assigned to went. And that's different. We're different than a large company. being a part of that building process. And so he was really looking for that guidance.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that too, because I think that's one of the side effects, a positive side effects that comes from Nail the Handoff is your team is involved in building this. Did you notice that there was a shift in the energy with your team when you did this process?
I think so. And, I've talked to my PMs a lot about, we got to get out to the field more. You've got to get out to your superintendents because sometimes they feel like they're out on an island, especially with our projects. I got a project in Virginia. I've got a project, 3 hours away that I don't get to get down there much because we're so busy elsewhere. And I think some of the team feels left out. And when they come into this process and they know they're helping shape how the company executes, I think they get better buy-in from that. And they know that it cares to you. You care for them and what they're doing. Because if you just leave them on the island, they're like, nobody cares about me. Why should I care? This isn't my business. I mean, nobody's going to care about your business more than you do. So you've got to be engaged.
Yes. Oh, so many good things. Was there could you narrow it down to one thing that you felt was the most beneficial or impactful part of the SYCB program?
I mean, it's definitely the nail the handoff for sure. That whole process, the leadership systems was wonderful. It was things I had already been thinking about, but now this is helping me kind of codify that or really make a greater emphasis on your why. Why are we here and storytelling throughout as you're doing great things, storytelling. But yeah, it was nail the handoff because it was something I've been working on. We had some few processes in place, but it was just getting everybody together. And we still have our stickies up on the board. In fact, one of my guys was talking about this morning. It's in our conference room, and he had a meeting with a customer or a client, and they were like, "What's all this stuff on the board?" He's like, "Hey, that's our nail the handoff. This is our new execute." So it was really great to see him excited about it. But it definitely had to do that. And you guys, you told us this was probably the most beneficial part of the course, and it absolutely was.
Yeah. Yeah, it often is. That seems to be a pretty big game changer for a lot of our clients when they get to that point. So how is life different for you now? I know previously you were talking about still needing to implement things, and that is absolutely the case, right? There's really no finish line necessarily in all of this. But how is life different for you now that you've gone through the program and you have some of these things in place and are continuing to build them into your business?
No, it's great. I mean, it's going much smoother. We've got we call it our major execution or major evolution checklist. So now I'm seeing things on the calendar pop up from my PMs that say concrete pour or this stuff. So they're inviting me to these meetings we're having so we can get the superintendents and talk about everything we need to. So that's nice to see them doing that because now I don't have to be, I like to, but sometimes I'm working on strategic stuff. I'm traveling a good bit, building a relationship with clients. So it's good to know in the background that they're doing that. And it just makes me feel much more comfortable. So I can focus now more strategic. And now we've got our, the 2-year accountability charts, but now we're going past that. We're going to 5 years and working right to left. If we want to get to 50 million, what do we need to look like right now? How do we need to start building our company right now to position ourselves to be successful at that new goal? And so it's just really freed up a lot more of my time to be more strategic and then abiding by my CEO's schedule of, our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings don't bother me. I'm out for a couple hours thinking strategically, working on the business. Whereas before this program, you just didn't have time for it because you're just trying to survive.
Yeah. But what about for you personally? Are you still waking up in the middle of the night, wondering and worrying about things?
Well, then no, I think things are going better. I'm calmed down. I don't have those panic. I mean, I still do once in a while when I start thinking, oh my gosh, we got to get more work or whatever the subject is, but it's not that immediate. I know that we're pretty much, we've got the foundation laid now, or we're making a good foundation. We're heading in the right direction because I think when you start losing sleep, you start getting a little nervous when like we talked about, when you feel that the wheels are coming off the bus and you feel like you don't have a good plan and you feel like maybe your people aren't as engaged or you're not as engaged as you should be. And so it is a calming feeling knowing that, hey, I'm setting a better foundation for my folks and they're buying into these processes, if you will.
That's awesome. And so some of those goals that you talked about at the beginning, do you feel those are attainable for you and your team now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome.
Awesome. Very good. Well, we love results. We love hearing about your experience and can't wait to hear how things continue to go for you as you succeed in those goals that you set. Thank you so much, Shawn.
No, thank you. And I'll be dialing into your podcast, keep listening to them. They're wonderful. So you guys keep up the good work,
We will. Thank you.
Okay.